Good evening, everyone. I am Ryan Merak Noor, and I'm going to be talking about DGHS and the private healthcare licensing and how the corruption happens. Also, what is my proposal to fix this process using generative AI? Firstly, as I have written here, this is where the corruption really happens. Um, it basically comes down to human interference. Right now, the processes allow the officials to hold applications hostage, claiming documents are missing just to squeeze bribe out of the clinic owners. When physical inspections are scheduled, the clinics get tipped off in advance. They simply rent medical equipment for the afternoon and hire fake doctors to look legitimate. Ultimately, the inspectors are paid off to submit clean reports for facilities that are nowhere near safe. And that is not just a theory. I have attached two news articles about this, the Daily Star TIV investigation, the Prothama law. They all highlight the medical negligence and the ghost doctor syndicate. Um, Moving on to the next slide. This is this is my proposal of how we can fix this. So let's look at the actual workflow. On the left hand side here, this is the current process. I want you to notice all those red boxes. Those are manual checklists like test reviews, inspector visits, and these are basically, this can be a bottleneck where the bribe can be demanded. And on the right hand side, this is my proposed generative AI workflow on the right. We're taking the human bottleneck out of the equation. Instead, Instead of handling paper to an officer who might lose it, an applicant applies through an intelligent portal. From there, the AI automatically checks the documents, cross-references the medical staff, and analyzes a mandatory geolocated video of the clinic. Since the large language model is Bangla, so the applicant will have an easier time navigating through all of this. But notice the diamond shape in the middle. The AI only triggers a human audit if it flags a real discrepancy here. Otherwise, the system handles the compliance scoring and issues the approval automatically. So this slide, I spoke about why is this shift to generative AI so powerful. Well, there are four major advantages as I have shown here. Firstly, the standardization here. Because the AI parses documents and scores them mathematically, a corrupt official can no longer delay a file by lying about a missing paper. The second is interactive transparency. Licensing rules are very complicated, we all know that, which is why owners rely on corrupt brokers. We replace these brokers with a, as I have said before, Bangla large language model that clearly and honestly guides the applicants through the portal. Alright, the red flag extraction here. By analyzing the mandatory videos, the computer vision can literally see if a clinic is missing a crucial equipment like an ICU bed, and it blocks the application instantly. And finally, the anomaly detection. The AI checks the clinic staff list against the national registry. If a single doctor claims to be working full time at 5 different clinics simultaneously, the system catches that impossible overlap in milliseconds. Uh, to summarize, let's compare the two systems side by side. Alright. The traditional system is the traditional system is slow at processing, is biased and relies on scheduled physical visit that gives the clinics time to hide their flaws. But our proposed generative AI model replaces that with instant objective verification. We trade easily manipulated test reviews for automated completeness scores. We trade rubber stamped human approvals for unbiased computer vision audits and national registry cross checks. By adopting this generative AI workflow, DGHS can eliminate the loopholes that put patients at risk, ensuring that only truly qualified, fully equipped healthcare facilities are allowed to operate. Well, that's all from me. Thank you for your time and attention.
Hello everyone, I'm Khondokar Arshad Nawaz Mahir, and today I'll be talking about the integration of generative AI in the DGHS sector, which is the Director General of Healthcare Services. Now, first, if you look at the recruitment process of the doctors, nurses, and staff, and see where the corruption primarily happens, which is the market can be manipulated. There can be a lot of political influence, nepotism, lobbying, bribery in certain steps, and mostly the transparency and the partial interview scoring. I have also provided evidence of where the corruption occurs. Now, if we take a look at the recruitment process of their nurses, doctors, and staff, and if you look at the traditional workflow, it first starts off with the application, there's manual verification, written exam, interview, final result, and then finally appointment. And in case of the generative AI enabled workflow, the applications being uploaded to their website or their jobs and other job sites, and the AI checks their document completeness and other credentials, and the AI flags unusual factors in such steps. And then finally there's digital audit trail, which is permanently stored for future requirements. And in the traditional workflow, there's a lot of like corruption, such as political influence, people coming from a political background, or nepotism in lobbying in almost every one of the steps. So no one has then there's no certain fairness in the exams and overall process of recruitment. And then if we take a look at Okay, and then if we take a look at the advantages of generative AI, there's standardization, red flag extraction, interactive transparency, anomaly detection, and so no official can artificially delay any file by claiming missing or lost documents. The AI guides systems that provide visible and unbiased information to all applicants regardless of the background they come from. And there's interactive transparency, which is a very significant thing. So all of everything is practically visible and transparent to all of the applicants and such. And the AI also automatically flags suspicious patterns in applications. Or so finally, if we take a look at the workflow comparison, first off, we start with screening, whereas in the traditional process, it's mostly corruptible and or manual. But in terms of the generative AI, it's automated. And there's also a lot of influence, a lot vulnerabilities to outside pressure, political influence and such. But AI, in the case of the AI, it's objective and data-driven ranking. And finally, if we take a look at the selection process, it's in case of the traditional processing, it's very human heavy and human influenced. But in case of the AI, it's the AI gives a merit list based on gives the AI audits based on the individual's merit list. Thank you. That will be all from me.
Hello everyone, I'm Maisha Hossain Nazia, and our sector is DGHS, Directorate General of Health Services. And the process that I'm going to present now is procurement of medical equipment. DGHS is responsible for purchasing medical equipment for government hospitals across Bangladesh. Since this process involves a large amount of public money, it is vulnerable to corruption. Our objective is to show how generative AI can make this procurement process more transparent, efficient, and accountable. First, let's look at where corruption happens. Corruption can occur when tender specifications are written to favor certain suppliers during manual bid evaluations, through inflated equipment prices, approval of low-quality products, or manipulation of procurement documents and invoices. There is also evidence that these problems exist. DGHS blacklisted 14 contractors over corruption and procurement fraud. Another case occurred during the COVID-19 pandemic when a medical equipment contract was awarded to an inexperienced automobile company, violating procurement rules. These examples highlight the need for a more transparent procurement system. Now I'm going to show a comparison between the traditional procurement workflow and the Gen AI enabled workflow. On the right, we have the traditional workflow where most tasks such as reviewing documents, evaluating bids, selecting suppliers, and inspecting deliveries are done manually. This creates opportunities for bias, favoritism, delays, and human error. On the left, we have the Gen AI enabled workflow. AI validates procurement requests, checks market prices, reviews tender specifications for buyers, scores supplier bids using the same criteria, monitors invoices and delivery records, and automatically flags suspicious activities. However, the final decision is still made by the human committee, so AI supports officials rather than replacing them. Now, let's look at the 4 main advantages of generative AI. The first is standardization. Gen AI follows the same procurement rules for every request and every supplier. This reduces bias and ensures fair and consistent evaluation. The second is red flag extraction. AI can detect suspicious activities such as overpricing, duplicate invoices, and unusual procurement patterns, allowing officials to investigate problems much easier. The third advantage is interactive transparency. Through a digital dashboard, procurement information is updated in real time, making the process more transparent and easier to monitor. Finally, anomaly detection allows Gen AI to identify unusual prices, invoices, or delivery records and immediately alert officials for further review. Lastly, our comparison table summarizes the improvements. The traditional system depends heavily on manual paperwork and human judgment, while the Gen AI enabled system automates document validation, evaluates bids fairly, detects fraud in real time, and maintains a permanent digital audit trail. This makes the procurement process faster, more transparent, and more reliable. In conclusion, generative AI does not replace government officials. Instead, it supports them by reducing corruption, improving transparency, and ensuring that public funds are used more efficiently. This can strengthen accountability and increase public trust in DGHS. Thank you. This is all about my part.